having our first conversation this morning, and as we mentioned, we're sitting down with the folks from the elections and boundaries. Now, you know, Paul, we're having an increased talk of elections and voting and whatnot. So, of course, we have to bring the folks from the elections and boundaries into the conversation to talk to us about voter education and, of course, that transfer period that is currently taking place. We are joined by Brenda Stain, and she is a registering officer with the elections and boundaries, and also Brioni Neal, and she's also a registering officer with the elections and boundaries. Ladies, thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning.
And welcome.
Good morning. Thank you.
Also, welcome to our new space. Yeah,
yes,
takes you back in time.
I love it.
Now, ladies, I know that you both have your hands full all around. I think people probably assume that you're mostly busy around election time, but I think that's not true. Let's begin with the role of a registering officer in the first place.
Okay, I've been a registering officer for some period of time. We are definitely some of the strongest people that you will know at the department. We're the backbone of democracy, I should say. Our task is basically we do voter education, we do preparation for all elections. That includes training, all the preparation to go into an elections. We conduct investigations, and every month we do a monthly supplementary list, and all those are compiled. We attend revision court. We also go to the court to ensure that people that are not deceased, then we have deceased that we publish also, so we do verification of those also. So all around the year we do a lot of work, not just only when election times.
Yes.
We do a lot of auditing also and vetting to ensure that everyone that is registered in our jurisdictions, we can give account for.
All of that falls under the
registering officer. Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
I had no idea
Yes.
that you guys do so much. Not that I thought you did little, but I had no idea that you did so much.
Yes. So we are actually field worker also. We work in the office and outside in the field.
All right. So let's before we go into the transfer period, let's one more time, but break down a bit of those tasks. Right, so Belizeans understand a bit better your roles and your functions, right? So if you would help me, remind me again, we're talking about your roles and responsibilities here. You do investigations.
Yes.
So that entails going to homes?
Yes. Personally, for me, I work at the Belize Rural. I'm responsible for all the villages in the rural, so that comes from different highways. You'll notice we have Crooked Tree, we have all the way to Mascal, all those villages along the way. We have all the river valleys, you have all the way up to Gales Point. So all those areas, in a month, I would be visiting those areas to house-to-house verification.
And so that's house-to-house verification.
Yes.
That's basically you going, ensuring that people on the list.
John Doe that says he lives here.
The most important thing is my signature.
Your signature.
When I put my signature on the supplementary, I'm saying I, Brenda Stain, say that these are the amount of voter that is qualified within this period of time. Remember, we have a registration cycle from the 11th of one month to the 10th, which is always a cutoff. So I am telling you, yes. So for example, the 11th of May, the next cutoff will be the 10th of June, which will be next week, Monday. So I will have all those persons vetted on my list. And at this time right now, we are doing voter outreach. So we're registering people. We are going out to the villages, and we are registering people at the villages.
So that's for people that have never registered.
Exactly, that have never registered before.
New registration.
New registration. Okay. Every day we conduct that.
How often, how many new registrations on average would you get in your area?
I would say at least 30 for the month.
30 for the month?
Yes.
That's an average.
Average.
That's a good amount of voters. Now, what I appreciate about your work is that you are engaged in a democratic process, not only to get a list filled, but to assist voters in understanding their right, correct? And helping voters engage in a democratic process. Ms. Neal, let's talk a bit about your experience working as a registration officer, and perhaps what is the most enjoyable part, if there is any, of the job for you.
I guess the most enjoyable part would be the voter outreach and also the training of public officers. Because a lot of public officers have this idea that election and boundaries officers only work when election time.
Yes, that's why I brought it up.
When they actually see the preparation that is done before, because they have to do the training, then they have to go to our offices. So when they actually see what we go through and the nights that we don't get to sleep, and they can call us at any minute and they would get a response, I guess that's the best part for me. At the end of an election, again, I feel like a joyous feeling when the officers say thank you, and you know, we really appreciate how you trained us, or we really appreciate the time it took to work with us, you know, and especially successful elections where you don't have that tension or anything.
Yeah.
Everything is
And
smooth.
everybody's
Yes.
operating the way they should.
And you're
Yes.
stationed also in the Belize River Valley?
No, I'm in Belize City on Euphrates.
Okay.
So
Euphrates.
what areas do you cover as a registration?
I'm for Port Loyola, Queen Square, and Alberts.
Okay. And when it comes to training, just in brief, what are some of the areas of training that you all provide to public officers as they prepare to engage in the election process?
It would be giving them an idea of the rules that govern election and boundaries, the rules that govern the election on a whole, things they should do and should not do within the polling station, how to guide electors, again, when they come into the polling station, not to say you are to vote, however, this is how the ballot paper looks, this is what you should do, put an X or whatever mark is acceptable. So that would be, yeah.
I heard you mention a bit about court. So I wanted to understand a bit more about your role in that aspect. You go to court to do what when it comes to the registered
Okay,
list?
there's two processes. There is a process whereby we have a disallowance. That meaning that if somebody came into my office and I was not satisfied with his application, I would do a disallowance, meaning that they will get a scheduled mail and they can rebut it within the time frame from the 10th to the 25th. They will write a letter to the revising office to appeal my decision, right? Then you have the process of objection. When I publish my list on the 15th of the month, then we'll have the people from that electoral division to do an objection. So if they object to that person, then I send a letter to the person that is objected to, and then that person has to appear in court. Now, at that time, it will be the magistrate that will decide if the person stay on the list or the person get on the list. Yeah, and then after the 25th of each month, if we don't have any objections, then those persons are automatically signed off by the chief magistrate to be registered voters.
So the period is closed off on the 10th?
Yes.
And
Our list is due on the 15th.
This is due on the 15th?
Yes, the short timeline,
And
regardless
then-
the amount of
And
electors.
is it from the 15th to the 25th?
You have that window.
So that's 10 days
Yes.
that residents in that
Yes.
area have a window basically to say, hey, we now think, we now appreciate this, or this need to be looked into further, this person's name and this person's registration.
Yes.
Basically.
How important is it for you guys to meet these deadlines that you mentioned?
Well, by law, it's always the 50. Those, I would say, our deadlines are always important because remember, we don't know when they're going to call an election. You understand? We only have 30 days for preparation. So all our 15th deadline is definitely one of the most important things we do at our department. Ms. Nee can add on to it if she so
Ms.
please.
Also, in terms of we spoke about the objections where persons within the division can come and object. It also goes for persons who went into the office and got registered and maybe got disallowed for any particular reason. They also have that time to come in and appeal a decision made by the registering officer.
Yeah. You know, I never thought about the fact that this has to be a monthly process
I
because
didn't
you're
either.
unsure
Yeah, I didn't
when
realize that.
they could
Every
call a
month.
snap election within a moment.
I've been doing it for the past 24 years.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm glad you give it a year.
I know you took a while.
For some time.
Yeah.
For some time.
Didn't want to put an age on herself. It's okay. We know that you're just 30. But Ms. Steen, another thing that you mentioned was you guys have to ensure that these lists of voters are accurate when it comes to
Yes.
persons that are deceased.
Yes.
Let's
yes.
talk about that. How does that work?
Basically, we will get a list from Ministry of Health, and we vet it against our system to see if any of those persons are registered in our divisions. Once that is done, we go out to do field work to the family member to inform them, okay, we got this name from Ministry of Health, and we're just ensuring that this is your loved one, and they would come. And this is the saddest part because when you have to go to someone, depends on the cause of death of the person to see the reaction of person's face. It's really heartbreaking for me. But people are all you know, they're welcoming to us as registering officers, and we get that process. We publish it every month of February, the month of May, June, July, and August, and we do it for annual revisions. So those are the time we strike out deceased.
Publish.
Yes, we have to publish.
Yeah, and we also encourage persons, if your family member passed away, you can always come to the Election and Boundaries office and inform us that that person passed, and then we can start doing our investigation so that we can take it up. It's not something as easy as getting a list from Ministry of Education and, Ministry of Health and just, oh well, their name is here, they're deceased, so we take them off. No, we still have to carry out an investigation to ensure that those persons are dead or deceased, so that it's not a matter of, let's say it was a mistake with date of birth, and we struck off the wrong person, and then election day this person appears. So
and
we
that,
try
that
to,
goes. They're like, oh, you did vote and you're supposed to be deceased.
Yeah, so we have to carry out an investigation to ensure that those persons are indeed deceased, even though the information is provided from Ministry of Health. So family members, again, we encourage you all to come out and, to come and bring the information to us at the office. That also helps us.
A big aspect of the role and responsibility of registering officers is also the voter education aspect.
And that's what we are working on tremendously throughout this year.
Let's talk about what that looks like for the Elections and Boundaries.
Okay, presently we are doing a task of doing voter outreach countrywide. If you notice, we sent out a press release on the 21st of May and on the 28th. It includes all our districts and it states venue, place, and where we'll be doing those voter outreach. Those are registration, replacement, change of name, etc. So we ask people to come out and use those time. We're also doing voter education to go into the high schools, to sixth farms, and so forth. And we are also going out to the different medical centers and so forth. And of course, today we are here at Open Your Eyes to do a segment also. So we continue to do that until it's up to the end of the year. And
you ladies have been super informative so far, not only to us, but to our viewers while here on set. Earlier you talked about publishing. I want to ask about access. Who has access to these lists? Voters lists, who's registered, names being struck out. Is that something for public consumption? Perhaps something that only the politicians or potential politicians can have access to? How does access work?
No. Each list is published. When we publish on the 15th, if you go to the office, if you visit any Election and Boundaries office, the list is published by division. So you can go into that office at any time and view that list. It would be on the board. In terms of the register, so if you want to know if anyone was registered between 2018 to present day, you could go into the office and that register is on the counter because it's public knowledge.
And it's for anyone to just go.
Yes, you can go and view it. Yes.
Who would go and view it though? Do you have like people walking in randomly like, I can go check out the list to them and to say how it works?
Not like that. It's like more closer to an election time. Maybe an aspirant person would come in and ask, you know, about those stuff and so, but it's not like daily person would just come in and want to see this. Some people would come because they are being told they're not registered, and for some reason they are told, and we are like, but ma'am, your name is on the list. For as long as you're on Elections and Boundaries list, you are there.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's a few people.
Yeah. I want to go back to the education aspect, though, Ms. Steen, because you mentioned that you also include high schoolers in the conversation.
Yes, I was, last week I was doing, or 2 weeks before I was at Tubal. I did King's College, Belize Rural High School, and Ladyville Technical High. And I was encouraging those, some of them are already 18, and to come out to the office to be registered.
What are the feedback that you get from these young potential voters?
Well, I have a way that I do my voter education. To start with,
give us a mock idea of what it looks like.
Oh, you put me on
Sing
the
the
spot.
song you usually sing for them.
Well, first thing I have to tell them that is their right.
Right.
Okay, that is your right for you to vote. If you remember adult suffrage, people fought for this, you know. It's your money. Because every time you go to the shop, you have to pay GST, so it's your money.
That's true.
And I find ways to convince them, like I told them about like if there's an important matter to be voted on, for example, went to the ICJ for our country, you know, and maybe they were not 18, but something that will affect them sometime in their future, their children, their grandchildren, you know. So although you might not want to vote for maybe an election, maybe that important matter will be coming up, you're already registered, you can go and vote. Don't wait for last minute to do so. So that's one way that I encourage them.
So the reason why I asked that, Ms. Stain, is because you would know that I also come from the Belize River Valley.
Yes.
You're my registering officer. And why I mention it is because I feel like I come from a generation, or I come from an area of the country where it has long been shared that the rural communities don't really push too much into politics like that. They kind of deal with their stuff on their own. And I've heard that also from young people that I engaged with when I was much younger. And I wanted to know if maybe there was a shift since my time in high school. Do you find that young people are more interested in taking part in this process?
No, not in my view. I don't see it. I mean, for the core school that I went to, they told me that they are thinking about being registered, but
Okay.
I have touched a part of their memory to say, well, you know what, there is a need for them to be registered. So some of them promised me to come out, and so far 2 came. So I'll be going back to Belize River Valley next week. So I expect to
That's
see a
high
couple of them
school.
more.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's
that's
So
high
you can
school.
register as...
No,
Once
some
you're
of them are
18.
already 18.
Also,
Yeah.
a couple of
You're
them are
18.
already 18. All right, so let's talk a bit now about the transfer period.
Okay.
Right? When does the transfer period begin? When does it end? And what can you do in the transfer period, though the name itself kind of makes it obvious? Let's talk a bit about it.
Okay, what I will do, I shared this before in the Representation of the People's Act, the Revised Edition 2020, Section 59 states, basically it's just stating that a registered person changes his place of residence from one electoral division to another, meaning that he was living presently in, let's say, Stanquick West Siltgrass, and he's now living in Belize City in Queen Square, okay? He shall, after he resided for a period of 2 months, at the new address, give a written notice in a Form 17. We have a form that you fill out, okay? And it's done electronically. To the registering officer of the division in which he now resides, which would be Queen Square, as a result of his change of residence and thereupon. If the registering officer is satisfied of the correctness of particular, meaning that he has changed from Siltgrass and is now living in Queen Square, a registration record card of such person shall be transferred to the divisional register for that division in which he now resides. Just stating that transfer is only done in July and August of each year. So it's only from the 1st of July to the 31st of August. That's the only time you can do transfer. It's not something that Elections and Boundaries Registering Officer came up with. It's in the law.
So before you continue, so if two things, if I move from Siltgrass to Queen Square, I have to wait 2 months before
No, that's not what it is saying that, let's say you were living in, let's say we were living in Siltgrass January of this year.
Yeah.
And then maybe March you move over to Queen Square. So you have to be living in Queen Square for 2 months for you to apply at the Queen Square division
Right.
to apply for this transfer.
That's
to
what
July.
so that's what I'm
It would
asking.
be 2 months per. So if you're going into the office like July, the transfer period starts. You're going into the office the 2nd of July. That means that you have to be living at that address that you're
At
about
least.
to give 2 months
Yes.
prior to the date, the 2nd
Do you
of
need
July.
do you need to provide any documents to support that you are living at this address? Perhaps like a bill?
We encourage the bill, however, it's not mandatory because we still have to go out and conduct an investigation.
Okay.
And the investigation would be based on the information provided to us, like the color of your house, stuff like that, so that we can find your address to smoothen out the process of your
And all of that would be
transfer.
on the form. The
Yes.
form that you
When
fill
you go
out.
to the office, all that information would be gotten from you there and then. We will take a picture of you, however, it's not for a new ID card because some people believe that when you go into the office to do a transfer, you'll receive a new ID card, and that's not the case. It's just for the office use.
So maybe it's me being a bit slow, right? So you have to take your time with me. Because I still try understand fully. And maybe Sabrina understand that she can help as well. Because she might know how I communicate. But so you move in January,
Yes.
right? And February, March, April, May,
You have
June.
more than 2 months.
So you have more than
yes.
2 months. So because then you could only register July, retransfer, sorry, July and August, right? So you come in July 2nd
Yes.
and you show that you moved from January. right? But it has to be 2 months.
Yes.
It has to be
So-
2 months. So I get that part. What happens if an election is called and let's say you moved from Silk Ross in January, an election is called February per se, but you're in Queen's Square. You can't vote in Queen's
No,
Square.
you won't
You're
be able
not
to vote.
transferred.
No, you're not transferred. You'll be voting in the same bid stamp request.
If an election is called in June and
You will still
the
not-
transfer period has not come,
No,
but
you will
you've
still
lived
vote-
there 2 months.
Yeah, but you will still vote in stamp request.
You
because
still
by
have to
law,
vote in
it's
stamp
only July and
request.
August.
Yes.
You can't do a transfer.
Wow, why is it that way?
Well, it's the law.
It's just the
like
law.
I stated, the law is saying only July and August.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, that's quite
Well,
interesting.
I know that a lot of people, they're looking at the information provided and they're hoping to take advantage of this window that is approaching July and August. I want to remind our viewers again what exactly they need to present if they are deciding to transfer. You did mention that if you would like to present a bill, that would be a plus, but you do your own investigations.
So for persons wishing to transfer, to begin with, you have to transfer yourself, because we also have persons coming and saying that, oh, election and boundaries move away. That is not the case. For me, if I live in Port Loyola, and now I used to live in Port Loyola, but I want to transfer to Queen Square where I now reside, I personally have to visit the election and boundaries office and request that transfer. I can't have no one do it on my behalf. I have to go there. You would present your passport or your social security or a driver's license. We would check your information that you are registered, and then we will carry through with the application.
Have you all considered how transfers would work if boundaries are redefined? Like, would that be like an automatic transfer? How would that work? Or is that
Well,
something separate?
Well, like I stated, we are here just to talk about the transfer.
Yes, so
period.
I'm not
And,
asking
when it comes
about
to
redistricting,
yeah, but
just
when it
how
comes
it
to
would
that,
work.
I did work in 2005 when there was
Right.
the last one.
Yeah, I figured
because
that much.
they did 2 extra division. I was working at the north side office. What happened when it's already redefined, it's the new boundaries, it is elections and boundaries, the registering officers again, we have to go out, especially like let's say there's a street, for example, let's say it's Penn Road. We have to go and vet Penn Road to make sure that the person that you're saying is for whatever division is for that side. So you know you have one side of Penn Road that is even number, you have the other side that is odd number. And if you know Penn Road is long as Farbars Road and Mahogany. So we as a registering officer have to also be the one that goes and vet, and those cars are automatically moved to the new division.
That's when people can say elections and boundaries movement. At that point they can
So
say that.
that's the point you were trying
Yeah.
to, okay, no
Yeah.
problem, we get it, we get it.
Yes.
Great.
Well, ladies, as we wrap up this segment, let's use the final opportunity to remind our viewers of the importance of voting, one, and two, of how they can take advantage of the transfer period taking place in July.
Yes, you can just
You're
go
the
ahead.
senior one here, Misty.
I'm not saying, well, I would just like to tell our viewers that we're open every day from Monday to Friday. Monday to Thursday is from 8 to 5. We open between our lunch hour. On Fridays until 4:30. We are advising our young people or persons that have not registered before to bring their birth certificate along with their social, a valid passport. If you have a deed poll for whatever reason, adoption certificate, come to our office and get registered. The process is what will I say?
I think it's simple.
It is. At the same time, we'll encourage voters who have not picked up their ID card from 2018 to please do so. You don't have to bring in that receipt, because some people
I don't
think
know why
that
you call
if
me
they
over.
lost their receipts,
You
if
probably
they lost
don't
their
even look the way
receipts,
you did
they
back
believe
then.
that they don't need to come in. But even if you lost your receipt, you can come to our office and
Yes.
pick up our ID card.
Yeah.
And people, please, we are begging you, don't wait for the cutoff date to hear it's a general election to come and register. Because remember, it's only 2 or 3 persons working in the office, and you'll be spending lengthy amount of time waiting in line. I can recall 2010, I was working in Dangriga office in Dangriga, and a lady told me that she was in the line from 3:15. I personally attended to her at 11:15 the night p.m. So we are not like ordinary department whereby it's 5 o'clock, we shut you down, you need to go home. Once it's at cutoff time, we have to register everybody in that line until 5 o'clock. So even if it's after 5, we have to
Yes.
register you.
Yeah,
so
and-
we're just asking persons, you're not registered, come to our office. It's a slow season right now. Come enjoy our AC and get
Indeed.
registered.
It's better to do it early.
Yes.
I'd like to also say not because it's transfer period, the 1st of July till the end of August, that persons are not allowed to come into the office and do any other transaction. We still are accepting new registration, so persons who have not registered before, you guys can still come into the office and get registered. If you have a change of name or you want to replace your ID, you can still come in and do so. It's not only transfer period, July and August, only transfer will be
I
doing
gather
it.
that you all do a lot of things simultaneously. That while you're in court and verifying this and that, you're also getting new registrations,
Yes.
and now with the transfer period, you're doing transfer. Seems like a lot is happening at the same
I
time.
just wanted to add that for this week, we have the 7th of June, I will be in the River Valley area in Bermuda Lanley at the Belvedere building from 9 to 3 to do registration. I'll be taking ID cards for all those areas, those persons living in that area to come and pick up their ID card.
And the Belize City officers will be at the Radical Center taking
Doing
application.
registration. And on the 8th, for residents of Hattieville, we'll be also be doing registration on the
Wow.
8th.
Wow. True unsung
Busy,
heroes.
yeah.
It is.
Well, ladies, thank you so much for stopping by, giving us these important information, and I'm sure you'll be having your hands full continuously leading up to it. I think so. After we heard what all you do, for sure. But thanks so much, and all the best.
You're welcome.
Thank you too for having us.
All right, we're going to take another quick break, and when we come back, we're switching the conversation into basketball with the folks from the Amadea Basketball League.